All right, guys, so here's part 2 of how to invest 1,500 Rand and flip that into 100K in 30 days. Okay, so part 1 we spoke about everything regarding how to attract sellers. So today my core focus is mainly looking at getting the buyers. What's the best way to get the buyers so we can get the cash? Remember guys, I always like to say that this whole obsession around getting leads doesn't work, okay? Because I can have a ton of leads, okay? I can have a crap ton of leads, but if those leads don't convert, then I'm not making any money at all, okay? And a lot of people say that stock is king. I like to say that cash buyers are king, or buyers are king, especially buyers who have high intentions and are qualified and they've got good credit, okay? Those people are king. Why? Because that is the cash. The buyers are the cash. You can have as much stock as possible, but if you don't have a buyer, then you're just gonna sit on stock. And unfortunately, you can't go to the bank and say, hey, well, look, I can't pay my bond this month, I can't pay my mortgage this month, but I've got 50 mandates and all I just need to do is sell one home. They don't care. Okay, what do they want? They want cash, all right? So I'm gonna walk you through how to get to the cash as soon as possible once you get those 10 mandates. So if you haven't watched part 1, I highly suggest go ahead and check out part 1, because part 1 is gonna walk you through how to get the sellers. And then part 2, I'm gonna mainly focus on how to get the buyers. So let's jump straight into it, guys. All right, cool. So I'm gonna cover the same process of what I did when it comes to sellers, which is the framework, okay? Framework is important because that's gonna give you a good bird's eye level view in terms of what exactly are we gonna be covering and the important parts of this entire process, okay? So, when it comes to buyers, guys, I see many agents are struggling to get buyers. I don't know why, because getting buyers is very easy. It's one of the easiest things. But I understand why it's hard for you guys, because you're utilizing property portals. Okay, you can't expect to get different results by doing the same thing as everyone else. So pay very close attention in terms of what we're gonna do. Okay, cool. So, guys, the buyer framework, all right, is super simple, okay? We've got the buyer ad, okay? Then we've got the form, and then we've got Privia or CRM system. That's going to help you get the appointment, which is ultimately the viewing, because that's what we want, right? What we ultimately want is the viewing, okay? But the only way we can get the viewing is if we reverse engineer the process. So step number 1, we need to have an ad that's going to attract them. Step number 2, we need to sort of pre-qualify them to make sure it's the right type of lead. And then step number 3, we need a tracking system that's going to track all the buyers that are coming in, so we can see exactly who is where in the buying process and who's a warm buyer, who's a hot buyer, who's a buyer we need to nurture. And then ultimately the people who are hot and the people who are warm, those are the people that we want to be setting appointments, well, let me rather put it this way, viewings, so that we can get to the cash. I was about to look at for the 100K, but I couldn't find it. Cool. So let's get started, guys, with the first thing, which is the ad of the buyer framework. So if you watched part 1 in terms of how to get sellers, it is the exact same process, okay? I might just give a little bit of more game on this YouTube video for buyers, but honestly, guys, it's literally the same framework. Guys, once you have a system that works, okay, all you just need to do is replicate it. And if your system is not working, then there are moving parts in your system that is just not converting. So I always like to say that you want to look at your results as pure feedback. And instead of you bitching, moaning, and complaining, start to ask yourself, okay, what is this system trying to show me? What is this system trying to tell me? And that question alone is literally going to expand your perspective, purely because now instead of you moping and saying, it doesn't work, you're now trying to look at what within the process of your framework, of your system, do you need to improve on. And 9 times out of 10, for many of you guys, you're not adding value, you're not responding to leads quick enough, and on top of that, you have a pressure sales mindset, okay? It's really that, and once you can shift those things, and once you can change those things, results start to come in as soon as possible. But anyway, cool. Let's cover the ad process. So when it comes to the buyer ad, all right, you've got 2 options. You can do separate listings, or you can do a list of homes campaign. So let me explain the 2. Separate listings. Remember, from the previous or part 1. If you haven't watched part 1, go check out part 1 because this is not going to make sense. Okay. So in part 1, I spoke about, let's say you got 10 mandates that are priced right in the right area. So what you can do is that you can either go the P24 route if you're not in South Africa. If you're in America, there's Zillow, there's other different platforms, for example. So you can use property portals, which I still highly suggest. Don't get me wrong, guys. Property portals still work, okay, if the home is priced right and if it's the right area. The only problem is that with property portals is that you're not getting enough exposure. That's the reason why your homes are not selling. There's a lack of exposure from the right people. So there's P24, or you can then run an ad on Meta, because remember what I said in part 1, we want to use the social media's AI algorithm purely because it knows us better than we know ourselves. So it already knows exactly who are the people who have been searching either to buy a house, they've been looking at properties, they've been looking at other agents, etc., etc. So that's why we like to utilize AI, all right, or social media's AI algorithm so that it can help us find the right buyers. Why? Because we want more exposure. But jumping back into the separate listings campaign, the reason why I would not advocate to do this, okay, is because remember, we have a budget of 1.5, right? For those who forgot, we've got a budget of 1.5. And once you successfully get to this stage, you don't have 1.5 anymore. What do you have? We only have $500. So if you have 10 different listings that you're going to run ads on, there's not enough budget. That means you're going to be spending $50 for each listing for one day. That's not enough. That's not enough volume. It's not enough exposure. Okay, so what we like to do is we like to run a list of homes campaign. Why? Because it's going to combine all 10 listings. Okay, you can either do it through a carousel ad, or you can do a grid campaign, a grid image. Carousel ads are, try and give you a description, right? So carousel ads look like this. You've got house number 1, you've got house number 2, you've got house number 3, okay? And then there's arrows. Then you've got your ad, right? It's the image. And then let's say it's your ad message. And then you've got the images. And then all you just need to do is that you just click on this arrow button and then it shows you different properties. That's a carousel ad, okay? A grid ad is basically, you've got, let's say, this is the kitchen, this is the living room, that's the backyard, and then let's say this is the bathroom. So it's a picture of the kitchen, picture of the living room, picture of the backyard, picture of the bathroom in one picture. And I always like to advocate for either or. This works very well, and this also works very well. You can test out both. I say they work pretty well, okay? So we want to be running a list of homes campaign. Why? Because we only have $500. So we cannot, because of the budget, we cannot run separate listing ad campaigns at $50 a day, because then we're only going to be running them for one day. We've got 10 listings. So I like to do list of homes campaign purely because we can then add all 10 listings into a carousel ad or grid. What I also wanted to mention is that you can have property number 1, 2, 3. I would highly suggest maybe add 5 of the best looking properties in your carousel ad. That's going to get the buyer's attention. And the grid campaign, I would highly suggest get maybe a picture of a kitchen in one home, a bathroom in one home, living room in one home, same thing. Or what you can do is that you can have house number 1, house number 2, house number 3, house number 4, perfect shots, right, of the homes in there. Now, the reason why we like to do list of homes campaign is because we want to make sure that we're advertising all listings, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're speaking to so many different buyers. And this is the key behind this, all right? And I'm going to walk you through why this is so flippin' genius. It's okay, you don't have to give me compliments now. But I'm going to walk you through why a list of homes campaign is so freaking genius. Because guys, once you understand how to do a list of homes campaign, you're never ever going to worry about getting a buyer. I see many of you guys struggling to get buyers. And it's pretty easy, honestly speaking. I would say it's a lot harder to get sellers, than it is to get buyers. Because there's always someone looking to buy a property. But someone selling, not so much. So let me walk you through. It's a workout actually. Let's go here. List of home campaign. Here's why a list of homes campaign works very well. Okay, we want to speak to every type of buyer. What do I mean by that? We want to speak to investors. We want to speak to professionals. We want to speak to couples. We want to speak to singles. We want to speak to retirees, if that's even a word. And we want to speak to first-time homeowners. Now, back on what I was saying, if you're running a separate listing, the problem if you're running a separate listing campaign where it's one ad for every listing, unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult to speak to every type of buyer. Why? Because maybe that buyer will look at the property and is like, I don't think I see an investment property here. I don't think I see something that's going to help me. So the whole purpose of a list of homes campaign, all right, is because remember, we've got 10 listings that are priced right and that are in the right areas. So when running a list of homes campaign, how we are framing the campaign is, are you an investor looking for an investment property? Are you a professional looking to either invest in a property or stay in a property? Okay. Are you a couple looking for a home, for example, together? I actually forgot to mention here, families. Are you a family that's looking to purchase a house for your kids or near good schools? Are you someone who's looking for a nice and comfy place to stay as a quote-unquote single? Are you looking to downsize and finding a smaller home for yourself to retire? You can also say same thing with singles. You can also say same thing with couples and professionals for downsizing. Or are you a first-time home buyer looking for property to get started? Okay. Please click on the link below to go and check out our 10 listings or to go and check out our homes for sale. Now, obviously, these 10 listings are going to have different pricing points. So what I always like to say is that, let's say the cheapest one is, let's throw in a number here. Let's say the cheapest listing is, let's say it's 2 mil. And the most expensive one is 10, right? From these 10 listings. I would then say, click on the link to go and check out our listings that start from 2 million. Okay. Now the reason why we want to say from, and a lot of big companies use from, is because that's the lowest price point. But remember, we're speaking to investors, we're speaking to professionals, couples, families, singles, retirees, first-time homeowners. Okay, so that ad is speaking to so many of these different audiences that guess what? They'll be like, yeah, actually, I am a retiree and I'm looking to downsize. Oh, yeah, actually, I am a professional and I'm looking to purchase a home. Oh, yeah, actually, we are a family, we're looking for a good school. Okay, can you see that now that you're speaking to so many different buyers, okay, with different pricing points, now you're definitely going to find a few buyers for these 10 listings because you're speaking to so many of these people here. Whereas with P24, you can't do that. It's very difficult. And what I mean by that is it's very difficult for you to create an ad that's going to get people interested to click on your ad, to give you the information before they actually go and see the listings. So the flow of this is that if they want to get access to these 10 listings, they need to click on the link in order for them to fill out the information, and then you personally send them a link to these 10 listings. But the beauty now is that by the time they get access to these 10 listings, you've got a potential investor, professional, couple, or family, or singles, or retirees, or first-time homeowners, name, phone number, email address. You can even get their street address. Now you have the information. That is the one thing a property portal cannot do, because they first have to, they look at the property first before they give the information. We flip it. We get the information first before they see the property, so that we can then contact them and be like, hey, did you find something that you like? Or is there something specific that you're looking for that we didn't necessarily provide in the listings? Can you see why this is powerful? Anyways, before I go on my rant, let's continue. So that, my ladies and gents, is the Power of List of Homes campaign. So that is the type of ad that you want to be running here. Now let's look into the mechanics of what we need to do here. And as I said, guys, the buyer campaign is so easy because you're speaking to different types of buyers, okay, which makes it a lot easier. And there's always someone who's looking to buy a house, because real estate is the biggest or one of the safest property investments. As also we've been programmed to, right? I don't know. Okay. Gotta shift the perspective, guys. Anyways, so cool. Now, let's say, for example, your area is Midrand. Okay, that's what you want to do. My advice is run an ad in Midrand, but extend the radius to, I'd say, 10 to 20 kilometers. Okay, remember we've got a small budget, so ideally we want to be focusing on people that live in and around Midrand. Okay, and that's why 10 to 20 kilometer radius is really good and it's healthy. You want to make sure that the audience size for the ad, especially if you want to push buyers, at least 500K. You need to start plus 500K. So your audience size should be over 500,000 people. Why? Because we only have, guys, $500 to spend. So now in terms of how we're going to be spending this per day, all really depends in terms of how much volume you can handle. Now, our focus is to keep the cost per lead at about $5. If you do this really well, this can even go down to $3, right? I've even had some clients where it's like literally R1 cost per lead. So basically what happens is that they spend 500, and how many leads do they get? 500 leads. That's what I'm saying, guys. The buyer ad is so easy. So easy because it's cheap. You can extend the audience. There's no barriers in terms of the parameters that need to be set up. Okay, so as I've mentioned, you have the area. Make sure it's a 20K, 10 to 20K radius. If your audience is less than 500K, then increase the radius. That's what I would suggest. And then now that the budget is $500, how much are we spending per day? That's the question. Okay. Now, if your budget is $500 per day, I would just highly suggest, guys, spend $100 a day. Okay. So $100 a day. That's what I would suggest. If you want to bring it down, you can go 50, but I would say either 50 or $100 a day. Let's say, for example, guys, your cost per lead is $5, right? If your cost per lead is $5, then at least you know from this 100 Rand, from your budget, you're gonna get at least 20 leads. Okay, there's gonna be 20 leads that are gonna come in from your 500 Rand budget. Okay, but now if your cost per lead is $3, I don't have a calculator, it's gonna be way more than 20 leads. And then if your budget is, if your cost per lead is R1, for example, then on a day-to-day basis, you're gonna get 100 leads. So remember, this is per day, but I would highly suggest to aim for $5, and $5, that's basically 20 leads per day. So in 5 days, that is 100 leads. Okay, so that's 100 leads in 5 days that you're getting, Monday to Friday. So Monday 20 leads, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday 20 leads, so you're getting 100 leads. Now remember what I was saying. I should put this here. Okay, that in any given market, 5% are hot leads, 5 to 10% hot leads, and then we've got about, I would say, let's go here, 15 to 25/30% are warm. Now remember what I mentioned. The hot leads, you can have the biggest nose in the world. You could look like a nyaupe boy and you're gonna find a buyer, right? I'm obviously over exaggerating, but the purpose I'm trying to make here is that, guys, the hot leads don't care, they just need you to help them. Like, you have to talk yourself out of the sale, basically. Okay, the warm leads is where it's at, because if you have 100 leads and let's say, for example, you have 25 warm buyers, okay, the only way you're going to convert these buyers, number one, value, serving, and you need to be good at sales. You need good sales skills. What do I mean? Communication skills. Because if a buyer, for example, says that they'll get back to you and they'll get back to you because you need to pre-qualify them and they don't get back to you, all right, then there's something wrong that you did. They didn't feel comfortable. You probably didn't explain a few things. You probably weren't adding value and you weren't serving. Guys, if a buyer is not going to give you their information, but they expressed interest wanting to work with you, then there's something wrong that you're doing in your sales process. Yes, I know that there are buyers who are just curious and they're not ready to buy. But those who are ready, those who are very warm, if they were ready, but they didn't give you the information to get pre-qualified or pre-approved, then there's something wrong that you did. So it's very important to understand the sales process. So anyway, let's say, for example, we have about 10% of these buyers that are super hot. So we've got 10 of these buyers, 10 leads who are hot. And then let's say, for example, you also have 10% of super warm leads. So we've got 10 hot leads and then we've got 10 leads that are warm. So we've got about 20 leads, okay? 10 hot leads, 10 warm leads. Now, this is easy to say, right? The biggest issue I see with most people is, all right, I got 100 leads, but the buyer's phones are off. No one's picking up. I'm trying to get them to convert. No one's converting. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to walk you through a very pivotal key to turn these leads into either hot buyers or warm buyers. Listen very carefully. Let me actually spray this here so that you guys can really understand the key behind succeeding with buyers. Because yes, buyers are easy, but what makes it hard is if you don't have a proper system in place and if you're really bad at sales. Because if you don't have a system in place and you're bad at sales, then that could be the reason why your buyer campaigns are not working in the past. Okay, buyer campaigns are literally easiest to do if you know what you're doing, and on top of that, if you're providing or getting a lot of good volume. If your cost per lead is very high, then that means that there's something wrong with your ad sucks, or you have too many loops that they need to go over. Okay, that's the reason why I don't want, let's say, for example, I think I mentioned in the framework, not I think, I said it, in the form, you can either do conditional logic or no conditional logic. If you watch the seller ad campaign, I mentioned that there's a big vast difference between the two. I'm not going to cover this now. You can go watch part 1. But we don't want to do conditional logic. We want to focus on no conditional logic just purely because we want a good volume of leads that are coming in. If you want a 5 Rand or less cost per lead, you need to make sure that there's no conditional logic. Now again, but I'm going to get a lot of leads, but a lot of leads are crap. And no. That's what I'm getting into. I just wanted to walk you guys through in terms of, if you have the form, don't do conditional logic. You can still set the form to have so what Facebook, or let me put it this way, what Meta has done is that they can slide to approve and to accept the information. So there's an option that you can utilize to get that, so that at least you're getting a higher quality lead coming in. Okay, so that's very important from a form perspective, because I know I didn't mention it. So now, how do we get these buyers that are supposedly liars and hard to convert because they are bad quality leads, especially when you're running your ads? So let's cover this, because I get this a lot from people who try to do this. So remember, which was the last framework? Remember, we had the ad, then it's the form, and then lastly I said you need a good CRM. Okay, because that CRM is ultimately key. So let's cover the CRM. Guys, you need to have a CRM system. If you don't have a CRM system, you're going to struggle, full stop. I'm not going to talk about CRM right now, but you need, guys, if you are not tracking, if you don't have a proper system in place, it's hard to repeat a winning system. Can you imagine if McDonald's had to thumb suck how much sugar they need to put in the mayonnaise, how much salt they need to put into the burgers? There would be inconsistencies in the burger, in the taste itself, and no one would go and buy from McDonald's again. Like, oh, well, our customers are crap, they're not coming back. No, the reason why the customers aren't coming back is because they don't have a system in place. That's why you need a good back-end system. If you want this to work, you need a good back-end system. And the easiest and the cheapest one I'd highly suggest is go get Privia, Privyr. It's a good CRM system that's going to track the leads that are coming in. It's going to track the conversations. It's going to track specifically who opened up your messages and all that good stuff. So go get Privia, okay? Now, as soon as the lead comes in, this is what it's very important, because this is where many of you guys screw up. Speed, guys, speed to lead is very important. Go and read, I'm not going to talk about it now, but go and do your own research and stats in terms of when a new lead comes online. If you don't contact that lead within 5 to 10 minutes, you have lost almost 70 to 80% of the deal, because you're taking your time, guys. Speed is very important. And I'm going to explain why speed is important. Guys, we live in a fast-paced lifestyle, okay? There's so much content that's popping up in our faces. Go and do your research and actually go look at the stats where it shows how much content we see every single day. It's in the tens of the thousands. So you see a ton of content all the time. So if a new lead comes in and you're not reaching out to that lead as soon as possible, oh, Wandile, they said that they don't remember my ad. They said that they don't remember filling out my ad, but I showed them their information and they're surprised. Then that tells me you are not fast enough. You have to be fast. Because if you're not fast, you're going to lose their attention. If you lose their attention, you're losing money. So many of you guys don't have an issue. There's nothing wrong with the leads. It's you that you need to fix. You need to fix your back-end system. So number one, you need a CRM. And number two, you need to get back to these leads as soon as possible. Okay, that's very important. Another thing as well is the follow-up. Many of you guys, when they try to call these numbers, number one, it's off, or they don't pick up, or they said they'll call me, they'll call back, and they don't call back. Well, then you need to follow up, and don't just follow up randomly. You need to have a system of following up. Go and check out my effective follow-up strategy in my videos, and you'll start to see that it's not just you follow up once today, and then maybe once next week, and then maybe once, next month. 9 times out of 10, a lot of you guys just follow up once, and then you don't follow up next week, you don't follow up next month, you don't follow up at all. And then you're gonna come say and say, oh, the leads are bad. No, it's you. You are not focusing on your back-end system. Okay? The reason why you want to follow up, what did I say, guys? We live in an instant and a digital world. Everything happens like this. Boom, boom, boom. So if you're not fast, if you're not following up, you're losing that lead. You have to be fast. Some of you guys are living like you're on the beach with your business. You can't relax. You have to be quick. Guys, I'll give you one example. So I remember when I was looking for medical aid for my daughter, and I was doing my research, and I remember I was filling out some forms online. I think I was filling out a discovery form. Okay, I was filling out a discovery form on their website so that they could call me back. And I was like, actually, I want to see how fast are these consultants going to call me. I already knew that they will probably call me back very quickly, because discovery would not be discovery if it didn't have the right systems in place. Guys, I filled out that form, and I kid you not even 20 seconds later, I got a phone call immediately. What does that say about discovery system? They're fast, they're quick, and they move fast as hell. I'll fill out your form, and when do I get a call? An hour later, 2 hours later. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to move forward. Okay? You want to make sure that you're contacting these leads as soon as possible. And then once you contact these leads, especially when you're engaging with the warm leads, never mind the hot leads, I want to really walk you guys through. A lot of you guys, when you're talking to these leads, hey, you ready to buy right now? Hey, okay, cool. Let's move forward to the process. Hey, I saw you saw my ad. Okay, cool. Where's the cash? Let's move forward, guys. No. When you're talking to warm leads, you don't do that. That's why a lot of you guys are like, oh, these are bad leads. They're not bad leads. You just suck at selling. If you want to talk to leads that are warm and they're the easiest to sell and the biggest out of all the leads that you're going to get, because remember, hot leads is only 5 to 10%, but the warm leads, it's way more. If you want to convert more warm leads, okay? If you want to convert more warm leads, do you know what you need to do? Serve. What do I mean by serving? Go there with the intention of helping them. Irregardless if whether we're ready to buy or not, you just there to serve them. Just go out there and help them. Some of you guys are so selfish that you're just only worried about the cash. Guys, business is not about you. It's about helping your customer. Once you can serve, guess what happens? The law of reciprocity comes into play. Damn, I actually had a great conversation with Lisa. Lisa literally gave me all the information that I needed. You know what, actually, I think I'm ready to buy right now. Boom, done. But if you came and you were pushy, like, why are you in a rush to push me? Why are you in such a rush to push me to buy right now? Then they're gonna look at you as you being fishy. Guys, people already don't like real estate agents because you guys are very pushy. So if you're just gonna keep pushing, then you're not serving. And if you're not serving, then unfortunately the law of reciprocity cannot happen. For those who don't know, guys, the law of reciprocity is that if you help someone, they naturally feel inclined to help you back. If you give, they naturally feel inclined to give back. Does it mean that everyone is going to fall under this? No. But remember when I said, if you have 30 warm leads, from those 30 warm leads that you serve, I can guarantee you right now, you're going to get at least 10 to 15. They're going to be like, you know what, actually, yeah, we're ready to buy. Or you know what, actually, okay, awesome. What's information that I need to provide? Okay, cool. I'll make sure that I send it over to you. The reason why nobody's calling you back is because you're not serving. And because you're not serving, they don't feel indebted to you. They don't. If you are going to try and push me to move forward with you, I'm not going to feel indebted. I'm not going to feel like I naturally need to come back and, hey, you know what? I actually had a great conversation with John. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I'm really ready or serious to buy. No, I'm not going to think about that. Okay? And even if I am not ready to buy, if you serve me, guess what? You now have built a relationship with who? With me. Which means that if I know somebody who's ready to buy, guess who I'm going to contact? Anyways, guys. I don't want to be going on rants. If you want to flip 1.5 to 100K in 30 days, that's exactly what you need to do. Do it, don't do it, it's up to you. But I really just wanted to highlight exactly everything that you guys need to do to get to the next level. It is very possible if you do everything that I tell you to do and you do it perfectly well. And just focusing, guys, on serving, not selling. I'll see you guys in the next one, guys. Share this with a real estate agent who you know for a fact will get a lot of value in this. I'll see you guys in the next one, guys. Peace and love.